Hello, everybody out there in internet land. My name's Paul. Welcome to another Bengals UK online tailgate, the live TV show, if you want to call it that, and that previews the game and takes all the elements of an in-person, real live tailgate and shoves them into something on the internet. Welcome again. Of course, we've got a late game today, but we're going to be talking about the game and some other bits and pieces in this hour because we know that you guys like to watch Red Zone and you might want to get some napping strategies in place.
Yeah.
So we're doing it now before your tea. And joining me today is Paris. Penny Paris, welcome.
Hello, how are you? You okay, Paul?
Good, thank you. Thanks for joining us. And from the depths of South London, it is Dan and Amy. Dan, Amy, how are you?
Good, very good. I'm already tired. It's only 3:30. I'm knackered already.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask what you did last night, but we've got another late game. Obviously, it's let me just check. It's going to be early in the morning yet again, second week in a row. What are your strategies for coping with it's a 1:20 a.m. kickoff tomorrow morning? Can you believe that? That's ridiculous. When you say it out loud, it just seems so unfeasible and stupid. But are any of you guys planning to stay up?
No. Yeah, I mean, what I usually do is I'll try and sleep about 9 o'clock and then set an alarm for 1 o'clock. So if I can get sort of 4 hours sleep in and then maybe another 2 or 3 afterwards, I can sort of just about get through the day.
But can you get back to sleep after an adrenaline-filled 3 hours?
No, it's very difficult. I got about an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe after the Thursday night game. I found it, really struggled.
Dan, Amy, I already saw a pretty emphatic shake of the head from Amy there. What about you, Dan?
So I usually stay up. I don't really have a strategy other than just drink lots of caffeine. I don't nap. I will just completely power through, and I do plenty of running around the living room while the game's on, so that keeps me awake. I sound up really loud, which all the neighbours probably love. And Amy still somehow manages to sleep in the next room. So
yeah, well, that's good. And what are you like the next day afterwards, though? If you just power on through?
Horrible.
Yeah, it's not normally good. I try and work it so I'm working at home the next day. So
fortunately, a lot of people do take. That's the thing, though. This year, success with the team means lots more primetime games, and there just aren't enough holiday days to take in a year, are there? To kind of combat that. Joining us, you may have seen, is Andrew Dockrell. Dockers, hello.
Afternoon.
How's it going?
Yeah, going all right in the end.
In the end. Well, I'm not surprised. You're probably packing because you're going somewhere next week, aren't you?
I am indeed. I'm off to New Orleans Thursday morning. So, yeah, suitcase is literally by my side right now.
And what does Andrew Dockrell pack when he goes to New Orleans?
Well, my dad has kindly given me the suitcase with a pair of his pants and a T-shirt. So those have to come out and be replaced with a lot more of my own Bengals memorabilia.
And pants, it has to be said.
And pants, yeah, at least a couple.
Unless you're like you and your dad are really into like swapping underwear and stuff like that. I can absolutely say my dad passed away a few years ago, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying as well. He's obviously dead, so he doesn't mind me at all. But he used to wear he was a bit old school. He used to wear old-fashioned kind of, I don't know what you call them, white net kind of string Y fronts, and
nice.
I've never swapped underwear with my dad, precisely for that reason. But anyway, we've gone down a tangent already.
A bit like macrame.
Yeah, basically, yeah. He wore like match. He was an old school guy so he wore vests as well. Men don't wear vests anymore, do they?
No. Not string vests, anyway.
No. Amy's thinking, what the hell have I joined up to? What am I doing?
Me
Okay,
too,
we do have things to talk about today, other than underpants and vest. A bit later on, we have Bengals captain Jeremy himself is joining us, and normally we speak to Jeremy live from Paycor, but now today, because the late game is on, and because it's in Baltimore, we can actually have a proper conversation with Jeremy. And we've also got someone from UK Ravens coming on in a little while. So we're letting the enemy into our domain. And well, it's always good to keep your enemies close, isn't it? That's what they say. Let's talk about the game today. It's a big one. It's another AFC North powwow in Baltimore this time. Dan, Amy, how are you feeling about the game today?
I think cautiously optimistic is probably how I'm feeling. I think the team's trending in the right direction. The Ravens' offense is always scary for us, especially without DJ Reader. But I feel like it's starting to come good.
And you too, Amy? Do you have good feelings?
Yeah, always. Yeah. I mean, there's no point watching a game and being like, oh, we're probably going to lose it. Like, don't watch it.
Yeah, well, it's a fair point.
It's optimistic. Oh, come on. Like,
it's a fair point.
Let's go. We'll be fine.
Paris, what about you? How are you feeling about the game today?
Again, yeah, I'm cautiously sort of optimistic as well. I think obviously they're missing a couple of players. I think Bateman and Hill are big losses for them offensively. I think Lou's had Lamar's number a little bit the last couple of years, so I think I don't know. I think it'll be close, but I think we'll pinch it at the end. I think.
Andrew, Cam Taylor-Britt and Tyler Shelvin, the forgotten big man in the middle, has been elevated. I mean, not literally like carried on someone's shoulders. He normally does that to other people, doesn't he? But those two guys have made the active roster. How are you feeling about those two moves?
Yeah, Taylor-Britt comes in at quarterback from the sounds of it, with his 80-yard passes and his athleticism. But no.
Well, are you quoting yourself there from your draft analysis?
Yeah, I don't see much from either of them this week. But yeah, similar to the other guys, I think I'm cautiously optimistic. I've gone back and forward. I've not really liked the matchup, and then I've also really liked the matchup in terms of the offense against their defense. But yeah, we'll see.
Matthew Morris says, yo, 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 who day? And you'll be hearing from Moz later with another one of his beer reviews. We've also got Adam coming up with his NFL fantasy recommendations. Facebook user, probably not his or her real name. Who day from Cincy? Bengal gyms before the Raw tailgate experience. Bengals by a Shooter McPherson field goal. So if that's Jim, then hello, Jim. How's it going? Dan and Amy, you're going out as well to the USNA soon, aren't you? Tell everyone where you're going, and it sounds like an amazing trip.
We are going to Nashville and Cincy to watch Titans and Chiefs. I forgot then who we were going to watch. We're going to watch the Titans and the Chiefs. Yeah.
And
put in as well.
Dan, you've been to Cincinnati before, but Amy, this will be your first time in Cincinnati, correct?
Yeah.
And what's on the agenda for you guys? Because obviously you're going to Nashville, which is an incredible place, and then you're going up to Cincy for the Chiefs game the week after. That's incredible. What's on the agenda?
Lots of shopping, apparently.
Yeah, in Cincinnati, I think we're going to have to take a spare suitcase probably for all the stuff we're going to bring back. We've got some stuff planned for Nashville. Nashville's quite a cool place by the sounds of it. So
yeah,
Nashville's awesome. Yeah.
Trying to teach Dan how to line dance before we go.
So you're going full country and western for Nashville, are you?
Yeah, I think we'll have to.
Dan, I need to see pictures of you in a Stetson before that is out. And Andrew, sorry to leave you out here, Paris. You're not going to America, are you? Unfortunately.
Well, I'm joining you.
You are.
And the Legion of the Damned, aren't I? We're going in November, aren't we?
The Dirty 24.
That's right. Yeah, no, I'm coming.
Great. That's awesome. I forgot that. So we're all going to America this year. How exciting.
Yeah.
Dockers, once you discard your dad's pants, New Orleans is quite an incredible place, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you enjoyed my southern accent last chili cook-off, so I thought I'd go out there and bring it there. Yeah, food culture there is super exciting. Nashville food is amazing as well, so definitely get out, get some hot chicken. But yeah, that's going to be super cool.
And have you got what have you got planned? I guess for Cincinnati, anybody out there from Cincinnati who's watching, let's have some recommendations of things to go to and see for Andrew and Dan and Amy, and obviously me and Paris will pick that up as well.
Yeah, I'm hooking up with Tom McDowell out there. So him, with his extensive research, has created quite an itinerary and map. So
I believe there has been spreadsheets created.
There are spreadsheets, itineraries, Google Maps. There's some extensive resources from Tom. But yeah, excited for it. Lots of chili, lots of food, lots of barbecue.
Yeah. Facebook user has revealed himself. Sorry, Beerfest Craig Johnson here. Bengal Jim and the crew are in Baltimore. Of course they are. We are bringing our tailgate to Nashville, so all welcome to stop by in New Orleans, Nashville, Tampa, and of course Cincy ones. Who day? So there you go. There will be stuff going on in New Orleans and.
Say hello.
Are you fully, Dan and Amy? Are you fully preparing yourself for the tailgate experience? Are you going to really go for it?
I don't know what to expect, so I don't know how to prepare. So am I?
Well, I would say it's prepared to be drunk by 10 a.m. in the morning. That's the only preparation that you'll need, I think.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
I thought you might be able to handle that. And Craig also suggests checking out Findlay Market in Cincinnati. That's just at the top of over the Rhine there. And he says Devou Park Overlook. I've not heard of that one before. I might have to check that out. Paris, again, part of the Legion of the Damned. People that don't know out there, we're all going on a touchdown trip to Cincinnati in November. Paris, what are you looking forward to? We're going to be taking in the Panthers game, but we've also got tickets to a Bearcats game on Saturday. It's going to be a full-on weekend. What are you looking forward to most?
Well, yeah, just seeing the sights, really, eating some lovely food out there as well, trying the American food. But yeah, I'm looking forward to experiencing the college football atmosphere as well as Bengals tailgates and the Bengals game itself. So yeah, I can't wait.
And it does seem this year that loads more people are going out, aren't they? Do you think it is, Dan and Amy? Do you think it's a post-COVID thing where people are a bit kind of like, oh, all that stuff is? I mean, it's around, but it's over with, kind of. Do you think it's like, well, we've been cooped up for 2 years. Let's just really go for it this year?
I think it's a bit of that, but also we really want to take advantage while the team's actually good. That's the main reason.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Craig, we're having a weird sort of kind of virtual conversation with Craig here. I queried what Devou Park Overlook is, and he says a City View Park in Covington, Kentucky, which is literally just over the river, the other side of the Ohio River, with incredible view of downtown Cincy. You'll love the UC game environment too. I do recommend going to Covington. It's a really sweet little town. And also, I tell you what, there's nothing quite like seeing what was Paul Brown Stadium before. But the first time I ever saw it in the flesh was me and my then partner parked in Covington, and we walked out to the river's edge, and there it was, just over the other side of the river. And it's quite an emotional experience because, let's face it, as we were growing up supporting the Bengals, there's no way that we ever thought that we'd ever make it over there. Do you know what I mean? So it is a remarkable emotional experience. I can't wait to go back. Dan and Amy, let's talk about the Bengals this season, 2-2. What's been your assessment of the guys so far?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster, really. Those first 2 weeks were pretty frustrating. It feels like we're on the up again now.
Do you honestly get the sense that we are? Do you think we are?
I think so. I think we have improved every game since that first awful Steelers game. since that first pass in that first awful Steelers game. It feels like everybody's getting a bit more comfortable, and there are some exceptions. Lyle Collins needs to kind of sort himself out a little bit.
Down the feet, off his arse, that would be good for a start, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, Joe Burrow felt a bit better last week. It felt like some of the reads were coming back, and it was all becoming a bit more instinctive, and he was able to kind of be on the right pace of game. We need Joe Mixon to get going, but I think we all know that. I'm hoping it will all come. You know, we started slowly last season too, so fingers crossed.
Do you concur with Dan, Amy? Yeah, it's easier to agree, I think. No, also it was always going to be slightly a lull after the high of the Super Bowl, because that was such a massive thing that we got there. So opening game was never ever going to be the same as that, and it was always going to be a little bit like, oh, it's a shame that we lost, obviously, but you know, fine. Like Dan said, we didn't win every game last season either. So this idea that we had to come out of the gates winning every week was a bit like, hang on.
we could be quite easily be 4-0 right now as well. But it's been really fine margins.
Yeah.
No, I agree. That's a really good point, Amy, because you know, Twitter especially, which is where we all kind of, you know, pump this stuff out to and inhabit, you know, a lot of the time. So reactionary, you know, and they don't really see the big whole picture, I don't think. You know, and you're right, you know, we're not going to win every game. Look at what happened last. We have to narrow the focus down, first of all, and win this division. And you can see what this division is like. It's kind of everyone beating each other, everyone winning a game, losing a game, winning a game, losing a game. And yeah, it's a bit of a cliche. It's boring, but it is a 17-game season now. So, what about you, Paris? We've heard from Dockers in the past. Dockers is here more or less every week. But what about you, Paris? Do you agree with that? What have you been keeping your eye on?
Yeah, I think the defense has been outstanding. I mean, almost since the beginning of the playoffs last year, they've just sort of carried us almost. Really, I mean, everyone always talks about the offense, but I think, you know, the defense is clearly the best unit on the team, really, and certainly the best coached as well. I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk about we haven't really faced any sort of elite quarterbacks yet, but I know I can't see that changing tonight. I still think they'll do a good job again tonight. So I think, you know, in terms of a poor start, I think obviously a lot of the guys had injuries. Obviously, Joe Boy had surgery. Not many preseason snaps for any of the starters. So I think you're always bound to have a bit of a slow start, really. So I feel like we're sort of starting to hit our stride now, and hopefully Joe will sort of be hitting his stride now as well.
All good points. One person is very ready for tonight's game. I mean, check this dude out. I mean, I'm jealous. And I also know that if I tried it, A, I couldn't pull it off, and B, there'd be an element of cultural appropriation there that I might get shouted at to do. But, I mean, what a dude. And he's been playing outstandingly well this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like the defense is just getting better every week.
Yeah. Who's been your favourite so far? I mean, I was gutted when DJ Reader went out because he was playing so well.
Yeah.
Any others that you've been really, really impressed with?
Von Bell, been excellent.
That whole secondary, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, again, he's just not. I feel like he's so underrated, Von Bell. I mean, obviously, you know, it's looking likely we probably will lose Jesse Bates, but I think if we do, we've got to definitely make sure we lock up Von Bell. We've got to make sure we keep at least one of the two. So, he's a big leader as well.
There's some really big contract decisions to be made at the end of this year. Darren Wright says, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Welcome to Sunday Who Day. Welcome to you, Darren. Thanks for joining us again." Matt Morris again. Mike Hilton has been superb. I mean, that whole secondary has been so great, hasn't it, Andrew? I mean, they've really helped to lock down teams this year. What was that stat? They hadn't allowed a touchdown in how many? Was it quarters? It must have been quarters.
So since we had that kind of period with the Jets and Browns game last year when we lost those games, Lou's defense has shut out the opposition in the third or the fourth quarter in 15 of 16 games. The only exception was the Super Bowl where they got 3 and 7 points. is pretty exceptional. We haven't conceded more than 10 in the second half since those Jets-Browns games last year. It just the adjustments are a second to none across the league, I'd say. It's shocking how little kind of media coverage that's got.
No, I agree. What do you put it down to? Is it just because they know each other so well and they know what they're trying to achieve? They know the spots they have to be in, the right spots, and is that what it's down to? Do you think?
Yeah, secondary is based a lot on trust. It's about corners knowing where the safeties are going to be, safeties trusting corners, etc. So just having that continuity there, no real change, kind of knowing where guys are going to be, how they play, and having Bates and Bell as a back two is just a really, really good pairing. There's very few teams that Daxton wouldn't just come in and start. The fact that they've kept him out, but he's had 13 snaps.
Yeah.
Just shows how ridiculous like that pairing is at the back end. So yeah, it's just the kind of communication and trust across the unit.
And he's taken it quite well, I think. Dax, he's kind of come out and said, "Look, I'm here to learn, and this is the way it's going to be." And I think obviously they're kind of almost redshirting him for when Jesse goes next year. Andrew Knott says Logan Wilson has been good, but think he may be even better so far this season. Pro Bowl recognition, hopefully. Who was our last Pro Bowl linebacker?
Perfect.
It's got to be perfect, isn't it? It's got to be Vontaze Perfect, which is a ridiculous thing to say. Were you a fan of Perfect, Dan and Amy? Were you a fan of his?
I love him. I've got a perfect shirt.
Have you?
Yeah.
He seems to be he seems to be hated by media types, but loved by fans. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he used to get quite a lot. He'd get a lot of slack or stick, for things that other players just seem to get ignored for.
Yeah.
You hear it happens all the time where if something happens in the league now, people say, "Oh, Vontaze Perfect would have got a 3-game suspension for that kind of thing."
Yeah.
What was pairing of him with Mal Luger and James Harrison? Like, think of that in like the 70s. People would be having Sam Ainger Christmases over it.
Yeah.
No one knows what Sam Ainger Christmases is. So we won't explain that because it's a family movie.
I can guess. Yeah.
It's absolutely for the best if people don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, but it's, I'm not going to say anymore. But it's a very white Christmas. But anyway, Darren Wright says tonight's game is going to be a firecracker. Just got a feeling it's going to be one of those fire weeks in the NFL. There's a lot of fire in that message, Darren.
Darren's ready.
Dan's ready. I think Darren's ready. Absolutely. I tell you what. While we're waiting for our Ravens guy to come on, shall we see what Moz is recommending beer-wise this week?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to answer, so that was rhetorical.
Nah, sure.
No.
Hello, Bengals fans. Moz here with 2 more beer recommendations for you all. Now, as you can probably guess, this is Sunday morning. I've only just got up. Had a lot of beers yesterday. So I'm a little bit... But 2 beer recommendations. The first one is a quite fairly standard Polish lager. I was gifted a can from a friend. He said, Polish lagers in general just aren't very good. This one's actually pretty good, and you can get it from decent Polish shops and like mini markets and stuff. This is the Namislav Pils. A very nice Pilsner, to be honest with you. Lemony, malty, very refreshing. It's a classic Pils, really. Very, very nice. I did do a review on that, so I'll probably get you a better explanation of what the beer's like. I can't remember the ABV, but I think it's in the 5 range. I think it's about 5%ish. I can't quite remember, to be honest. Very, very nice Pilsner. And like I say, you should be able to get it in most Polish shops, I'd say. That's my first beer. Second beer, wheelie I had in Turkey. It's not Turkish, so don't worry. I'm not going to put you through what I went through because you weren't that great over there, craft beers over there. But most pubs had Tuborg Gold from the Turkish Tuborg company, Van Stefane and Guinness. They absolutely love them beers over there. It's literally every pub had that in. It was quite insane to see. But this is a Van Stefano beer, but this is the Vitus. It's a 7.7 Hefeweizen Bock. Bock means just strong in German. It's a very, 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 very good beer. I haven't had it for a long time, and I thought I really needed good beer when I was in Turkey. And I saw that, I was like, yeah, having that. And I'll be honest, it reminds me more of a Belgian beer than it does a wheat beer. It's got that bubblegummy, appley, apricotty, yeasty, bready quality to it, and it just drinks superbly well. And it's just such a good beer. 7.7 as well. It's not one you can. Well, I did, to be fair, because I was gagging for good beer, but it is a delicious, delicious beer, I must say. Price-wise, I don't really know. I presume it'd be in the £4 range at most. I've had a little quick look through online. I'm not really seeing that many places in the UK selling it at the minute, but you can get it. I see it quite a bit in my bottle shops and stuff, and it's a very, very good beer. They're my 2 beer recommendations. I'm going to be watching the game today. The last 2 games I didn't watch, so if we lose today, it's on me. I'm sorry. But it should be a really good game against a very strange Baltimore Ravens team. Should be good. But they seem to have their moments where they just don't really perform. It's kind of like us, really. But I'm looking forward to this game. It should be a good game. I reckon it's probably a lot closer than the last couple of games against the Ravens. But I think we get one over Lamar Jackson today. If you can get 3-2 after such a difficult start, be brilliant on it. But it should be a good game. Anyway, hope you all have a great Sunday. Plenty of good beer and food with loved ones. And see you on the other side, eh? See you later.
Can't hear you, Paul.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
You're on mute.
I've done it again. That's 2 in 2 weeks. I try and be like really kind of forward thinking, hey, I'll mute myself to be all professional, and then completely forgot. Thanks to Miles again. Looks though he's suffering this morning. Any of those beers that take your fancy, guys, at all?
I'm more of a vodka Jack Daniels person myself. I drink spirits, so I'm not really a beer drinker.
Get you, Paris, and your fancy spirits. And what were you guys on last night then, Dan and Amy? Were you out with on the beers or the shots? What was going on?
I was very wild and had a few Diet Cokes and was home by midnight. So it's super wild for me.
What about you, Dan? What was your poison last night?
So I don't do shots anymore. I feel like that time in my life has been and gone. The smell of it now just makes me want to throw up almost instantly. So it was just nothing special. Let's say that. I mean, it's just whatever beer was available.
Yeah. Right, Moza has been sent a message saying the ABV for that Namislav Polish lager is 5.8. He said he had a can this afternoon, so he can't be feeling that bad, frankly. Ceiling Cat says, "Who day? Looking forward to a red zone feast with the Bengals dessert." Lovely food analogy there. Paul Burns says, "Drinking local beer from Monty's Brewery from Montgomeryshire. Nice light-coloured real ale called Desert Rats." There you go. Moz, there's one for you next week. Get hold of it, son. And Darren Wright, who's with us, says, "Anything frothy and Belgian, and I'm in." Well, I agree. Right. Okay. So let's bring in your favourite and mine. It's Bengals captain. Hello, Bengals captain.
You said favorite. I thought you were going to bring somebody else while I waited.
Yeah, there's someone else waiting in the wings. Sorry, did I mention that? But it's so nice to see you, man. It's as I say, you're good enough to kind of give us almost pitch side reports every Sunday when there's a home game, and these things can be technically quite challenging because it's StreamYard and you have to wear the noise of the stadium and you have to wear headphones. And oh my God, you're wearing Burrow's sexy glasses. Well done. So it's actually nice to have a chat with you. And look who's with us. There's Dockers, there's Paris, and there's Dan and Amy as well.
All my favorite people. I love you all.
So how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Definitely better now that the Bengals have kind of started to find their rhythm again. I don't think they're there yet. I don't think any of us think they're at their potential, but it looks like things will click. And we as fans, every year, it seems like this happens. We freak out, and then in a game or two, it gets corrected. So.
And you see that trending this year as well. I mean, Dan mentioned earlier, he does feel that they're getting better and better each game. And is that that's your summation as well, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't think it's bad coaching. I don't think it's necessarily, Burrow has had, that first game was just awful. I think he would admit that. But he came back in the second half, gave us a chance to win. If we didn't have the wildest injury at long snapper I've never seen, I thought those guys just kind of play until they just disappear. It's just dust, He's been absolutely reliable. Definitely not his fault, but even the last game, the whiteout game, which was phenomenal. The energy was outrageous. I love it. We cooled off in the middle. So, I'm still waiting for that 4 quarters of just heat, and I think it's coming tonight.
I want to take you back to that Thursday night because there are a couple of British guys and girls there. I think Stu and Vicky were there, and a few others were there. I mean, they lucked out, didn't they, going to that Thursday night game? It looked the most incredible atmosphere. Talk us through it, man. I mean, it looked great.
I've always been. I'm a cheesy guy. I definitely like the little novelty stuff, and I've always wanted a theme day. And I see, baseball has theme days, Bark at the Park. The Reds have Bark at the Park. I would love to take my Chihuahua to a Bengals game. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen. So I will settle for wearing, everybody wear orange, everybody wear whatever. But finally, we got those white helmets, and it was the perfect timing and kickoff for a theme day. And you wonder how many people are going to contribute, how many people are going to get the memo. The Bengals did a phenomenal job getting the message out, and the fans did an even better job because it was rare to see anyone not in complete white head to toe. It was absolutely perfect. So, Amazon in their inaugural season with Thursday Night Football, Andrew Whitworth coming up in the stands, hanging out with us. I try to give him my iced out tiger chain, which I don't have handy, but he wore it for the segment. I think he wore it back to the booth there, but I think they asked him to take it off, so he gave it back to security. Security went all the way down to the other end of the stadium and found me and gave it back, which was nice. But now I will probably never wear it again because Andrew Whitworth wore it.
I'm surprised you managed to get the white dye out of your beard. You looked, you were completely whited out, weren't you?
That was hairspray. That was white hairspray. Halloween. It's a perfect time because that stuff is available. It was just, I probably should have, looking back, stuffed toilet paper up my nose because I was a little loopy for a while, spraying directly into my mouth and nose, and I didn't think about that until after the fact. But I survived.
What you're saying is you were absolutely off your tits during that game, then, basically. Yeah.
That is one way to say it. Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
But you know what? Sacrifice for the effect, and I think it turned out well.
Exactly.
A lot of people had the white hair.
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, people went all in, and previously I think we all were a little worried about all this hype, all this drama leading up to, and then flat. And that's not the case. We didn't win the toss, so we didn't have the choice, but we're taking the ball on offense more. We're driving down the field. We're scoring right off the bat, and we're playing the game that we want to play with a lead, which is just an absolute game changer.
Yeah, that's something we haven't been able to do, or didn't do the first couple of games. I have to ask though, the atmosphere, for as good as it sounded, and it really did come through on the screens. You know what I mean? That kind of colour and the noise and just the excitement, it really did come through. And seeing the videos that Jess put on of you and your little section with Whitworth, who came into the crowd, what happened there? Have you had any interaction with Whit before? Did he pick you out, or was it just what happened?
It was a little bit of combination of Amazon, that crew, and Bengals on-field crew.
Right.
They knew they wanted some notable fans or dressed up fans, whatever you want to call it, and reached out to myself, Houday Baby. Jess was with us. We had a group the night before at the Ring of Honor dinner, which was another phenomenal experience of the stories.
That got lost. It didn't really. Maybe with all the fun and games of the whiteout and the game itself, it's important to remember that two of the greatest Bengals that's ever played for the team got their jackets. That must have been pretty cool as well.
Oh yeah, the conversations with all the alums that played with Isaac Curtis and Willie Anderson, hearing all those stories, seeing Willie trying not to get emotional, as people are talking. Rock Oliver, I posted that video. He had just a phenomenal speech. From talking about Willie to talking about the players being responsible for any of the championships he won. It wasn't the coaches, it was the players. And it was guys like Willie who took those extra, not one step, but 50 steps ahead in order to bring success home to a team. You get enough of those guys on one team, you're going to win. I think we're seeing the same thing, grow today with this team. But the halftime with the Ring of Honor, I said Willie got a little choked up. You could see him, get choked up, and I started getting choked up. I'm like, I'm gonna cry all over my white suit. It was well deserved, and a lot of people, I didn't think Ring of Honor is a great award. It's a great recognition, but I really didn't understand how much of an honor it would be to the players receiving it, because it's a little bit of the media bringing me down. The media is constantly saying that we're not good enough, we're not this, we're not that. So I was like, well, why would anybody care? Now, I do know people would care, but it's another level to see the talk, the dinner before, the way they talk. This was a Hall of Fame dinner. To see Willie on the field getting choked up, this was a Hall of Fame moment. And he will be inducted into the Hall of Fame in Canton, I have no doubt. But it really means more. I thought it would mean something. I didn't know it would mean this much. And this much is, I can't put to words. I mean, the players can. It's such an incredible honor. We think maybe Green Bay Packers and their history, that's an honor. They've got their Hall of Fame. You can tour and everything. And, we don't have any Lombardis yet. No. It is an extreme honor for the players. And just to get a reason to get everybody back together and hang out. They were out on the town together. They were all hanging out together on the sideline, the dinner. Like, they even mentioned that it's good to have a reason to get everybody back together and talk about old times. So it was a great experience. Like you said, kind of overlooked from the whiteout and all the fun and the Bengals win. It was as big or bigger than the game itself.
Jeremy's going to be with us. Hopefully you're going to stick around for Well, until the end of the show, if that's all right, because we're going to go
Absolutely.
through our great or hate food stuffs in a moment, and I'd love you to see that. Has anybody got any questions for Bengals captain?
I guess to pull it back down to earth, the run game, Jeremy. The run game. How do we fix the run game? I know everyone wants the answer and no one knows the answer, but how do you think we fix the run game?
You know, I think the big thing is I feel like those tells from Mixon were a bigger issue than maybe I thought. You know, going back through the film and having some conversations, I actually got through hearsay a little bit of a word from a coach at a not necessarily a rival, but someone who's watching Bengals film in order to prepare, and that was brought up. So it's kind of shocking to see why it happened. I have no idea. I really have no energy to dig. As long as it gets fixed, and it sounds like it's going to get fixed, and we should watch for that tonight. That's going to be a little bit of emphasis. So I've got a feeling without tipping off plays like that, we're going to see improvement tonight. You know, I think part of it is still the O-line gelling. You know, I love Pro Football Focus grades for skill positions. I like them less for offensive line, but I hope that they're consistent. So even if I disagree, I will consistently disagree with those grades. So meaning the run grades are much lower. They're still low. Even if I would grade them better, it's still way below the improving pass protection. And that's got to change. So if that offensive line can tee off, if maybe we can help out the run game with some quick throws in the flat underneath, loosen things up a bit for Mixon, as long as Mixon's 100% healthy. And I know Zach alluded to, maybe an ankle thing going on. We haven't heard anything big. Knowing Mixon, he's going to fight through whatever pain if he's having any pain whatsoever. But I think we see it bounce back tonight with a little bit more creativity and a little less tipping of the plays there.
Just a quick score check. The Giants are now leading the Packers 27-20
Cool.
at the Tottenham Stadium. Blimey. They've got a good game there. Dan and Amy, you haven't seen Jeremy for a while. Would you like to say hello and ask anything you'd like?
Hi.
Oh yeah.
How are you?
Hello. Miss you guys.
I was just going to on the run game. Are you surprised we haven't seen any of Chris Evans?
Such a tough question because I'm used to us as fans over the years. I don't want to say overvaluing, but we have really had our favorites who weren't starters. And we're out there. We're probably the best salespeople for those players to get picked up by another team. And I mean, even when you look at, a guy like AJ Green, his production after he left, a guy like Mohamed Sanu, his production after he left, hey, we can have some special things in Cincinnati when everybody's on the same page and understands the playbook. I have a feeling that Chris Evans, his time is coming, but there's a reason, and it's in the practice sessions, that he's not seeing more time. Maybe he needs a little bit more time to fine-tune his technique. Maybe it's the worries about the offensive line and his pass protection isn't as great in practice, because Zach has shown zero hesitation to play whoever is going to give them the best shot at, including, Cordell Volson. It is kind of a slap in the face that he's starting over their second rounder. Zach doesn't care. He will play whoever he feels gives them the best opportunity. And for some reason right now, and we've seen it, a P. Ryan was absolutely chewing up clock at the end of that game. You know, he's reliable. Mixon is the star. You've got Travion Williams, whose pass protection skills don't get talked about enough. He doesn't see the field enough either. So I think we'll see more and more, but we're just so crowded. We have so many talented running backs. It's tough.
Do you think this is it for Jackson Carman?
You know, I want to reach out to him because I had the most unusual moment with him coming off the field after a game. He's pointing and trying to yell something, and I'm looking around. You know, you get the awkward moment. I've had that happen how many times? You walk around the massive amounts of people downtown London, and somebody waves, and you're like, "Hi, oh, that's not for me. Sorry, nah, I'm just going to hang my head and walk away." No one was behind me. No one was beside me, and I looked again, and he's trying to get my attention. Both arms were wrapped up, and he was pointing to both arms, and kind of gave me a shrug. And I'm thinking, I hope he didn't watch that one episode of Blind Tiger where there were some comments that he needed to pick it up. That could be. He could be dealing with some injuries. I don't know. It is disappointing. I think the better Volson plays each week, if there's anything else going on with Carman, I think Volson is the guy. I think, there's just no way that he can grab that back from Volson. So, let him grow and learn as a backup. But he might be a backup for the Bengals until end of the contract.
Quick question has come in for you, Jeremy, from Andrew Knott. Jeremy, is there a different vibe in the local area post Super Bowl? Felt the team / organisation has really worked hard in the past year to be better on social media, game day, etc. Love the game balls going to the local bars last season, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of it is the unfortunate struggles from the Reds, because I think a lot of people would say it's been a baseball town. When you look at the comments, it always irritated the most diehard Bengals fans that there would be all this vitriol against the front office of the Bengals. But when the same things happen with the Reds, everybody just blew it off like it was no big deal. It's like, well, wait a minute, hold them to the same, standard that you're holding the Bengals to. Now the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, and then the Reds followed up with an historically bad season with comments from ownership like, "Where are you going to go?"
Yeah, which
is the absolute worst thing you could say, because they're just going to go, a couple of blocks away and Paycor Stadium, and I think they have. So the excitement is there. We're still Bengals fans at heart, and I mean the Bengals fans that have seen the 90s, the Bengals fans that have seen the one-and-dones in the playoffs. And when we started out slow this season, I heard from people on Twitter that I hadn't heard since the Jets loss. They come out during those periods of time, and they have since went back into their caves, waiting for their moment to pounce. So we still got a little bit of ways to go. I know I've talked to Chiefs fans when I was out in KC who never missed a game despite some of the lackluster years prior to, some of the Alex Smith success, especially now with Patrick Mahomes. But, some of these fan bases who have sold out every year, no matter what, we've got a ways to go to get there, and I don't think that we'll ever be 100% on board with something like that. We'll always want to have the Bengals show us that they mean business, but they are, and I think the fan base is following suit. They're all in.
Mm. Any other questions to Jeremy before we bring some weird food stuff into the equation?
Yeah, pleasure to meet you, Jeremy.
Yes, sir. Good to meet you.
Do you reckon tonight will be a Jamar Chase game, or do you think T. Higgins will continue to carry the load?
I've had a busy couple of days. Is T still questionable?
Yeah, but I think he'll play.
Yeah, he'll definitely play. I wonder about that, but I'm also waiting. I feel like Burrow and Chase have been just this far away from breaking something huge. You know, T got a great touchdown. Jamar did, late have that deep ball. I could definitely see Chase being the guy this time. It's how many games before he's going to blow up again? Yeah, I think it's tonight.
Right. We've got some more comments actually. While I can, Darren Wright says, while I can, I always want to say thank you to Bengals captain. The reason why I actually have a live Bengals experience in my life. I'm not quite sure what he's putting it, but I think that's a real.
Thank you, Darren.
Let's take this back down to small again. No, I can't say. Well, Matthew Morris says, I have a word for those people who come out when things get tough. Or don't come out when things get tough. I don't think Paul can say it, but it rhymes with punts. I said it. Ceiling Cat says, Carmen is still 2 years younger than Volson, which is an interesting comment.
That bodes well for Carmen.
Yeah, still time to learn. Right, as ever, we've got some. You missed this bit on the tailgate, Jeremy. It's probably a good thing for you as well. But we tend to kind of talk about weird food that's out there. And this week, I've gone down a bit of a wormhole because I saw a story about a dude called Kevin 40, or Mr. Giant Veg, as he's known to some. And he's just claimed his 7th Guinness World Record, this time for a potato plant measuring 6'10". And in the UK, we have these kind of village, what we call them fates, but I guess what would you call them? You'd call them in the States kind of
like a state fair, but smaller.
Just a little mini state fair, basically. And
quite Gilmore Girls, isn't it?
Yeah. I decided to have a look at some, and these things, they have vegetable growing contests out there to see who can grow the biggest vegetables that they possibly can. Here's a little insight into Little England, Jeremy. And this guy has got a massive onion.
Oh, that is a massive onion.
It's a monster.
And he's happy. He is so happy about it too. That is a great smile.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. He's yeah. I mean, I don't know what you cook with these things, but
brings tears to the eyes.
Yeah, imagine trying to cut that and not crying.
Wait, I have a rim shot somewhere.
Hey.
Oh man, you've got special effects and everything. You're one up on us. Here's this is Kevin, Mr. Giant Veg, and apparently he's made, like Snoop Dogg is a fan of his as well, which is unbelievable.
You have to make sure you enunciate his nickname.
Mr. Giant Veg.
Yeah,
okay.
we don't want to call him Giant Vag.
Well, no, we don't. Let's just move on quickly, shall we? Here is Mr. Giant Veg,
goodness.
And a cabbage that almost looks like an alien creature. Do you know?
It's a bit Stranger Things, or like was it Little Shop of Horrors?
Yeah, I was just about to say. Absolutely.
For people of a certain age, Day of the Triffids as well, if you remember that. So that's a big cabbage. And Kevin has also got an enormous marrow, apparently. I mean, look at that.
That almost looks photoshopped.
Yeah, no, it does, doesn't it? It does. That's a lot of zucchini for years to come, I think.
Are we sure he's just not really small?
That is a good point. That is a good point. That could be like a normal size marrow for most people. Right, we've also got some hate or greats. I want to show you these, and of course, while we're doing this silly stuff, please send us your game predictions as we edge towards the final 5 minutes of this tailgate. Now, this person, this is their dinner. This is one night's dinner. Now, there's basically mince, vegetables, boiled potatoes, and that is butter.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh god.
See, everyone's gone quiet. I think they've either got like
No.
memories from. Did anyone just have boiled mince on a plate when they were a kid?
no.
I know some, mostly from. I don't want to be stereotypical here, but mostly from Irish families. I believe more boiled mince and boiled potatoes was a staple. But speaking of butter, here's someone's breakfast.
Well, that's all right. What's wrong with that? That's
I mean,
fine.
no, it's
Too much
based.
A lot of butter.
Too much
But
butter.
it's butter. How much? Dan, how much butter do you have on your toast? That's the question.
So to me, that looked fine. The amount of butter looked fine on that. It was the brown blob at the bottom that was slightly concerning. What is that?
Yeah, there's like some sort of bodily oozing there.
Oh,
Yeah, that's wrong. I mean,
but yeah, I guess that's too much butter for me, though. Surely you want a nice, or is it the harshness of the lighting in that shot that makes it worse? Okay, and the final one. This, I mean, it looks like an accident, a dirty protest, but
no.
but that is spaghetti bolognese.
Is that onion rings?
If it's burnt onion rings.
With burnt onion rings, and I think there's some chips on the plate as well. But I want to know what this thing on the right-hand side was. It looks like
It's not the top.
an ear from a Burns victim.
I was thinking a cheesy frog.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like jam. It's like a giant
Cheesy frog. There you go.
You know what that needs? That needs some butter.
I think
Yeah.
it does need some butter. Right. Okie dokie. Matthew Morris says, butter is great, though. Butter is great, though. Drown the toast in it. And Darren Wright thought that was a bad Yorkshire pudding. I'm not quite sure. But right. Let's have a look. Andrew Knott says 34-31 Bengals agree that this could be a chase game. And Ceiling Cat, again, 34-31 Bengals. Both teams to make 60-plus field goals. Of course, we've got arguably the best two kickers in the league going head-to-head here. Jeremy, what's your feeling for tonight, and what's your prediction?
You know, I really think it's going to be a 17-point win for the Bengals. And
Wow, really?
Yeah. Hey, and Ravens fans on Twitter are going to use injuries as an excuse again. I really just think Lou Anarumo has done a masterful job solving for Lamar's athletic prowess. So you really shut him down and force him to be a pocket passer. We have the secondary to force him into mistakes. You know, I still am not sold on his ability as a pocket passer, even though he's had great games throwing the ball. When you look at it, I feel like, and this is not data, it's just emotion, but I feel like he's throwing to wide open receivers when he has those huge days in the pocket. And Lou will make sure that doesn't happen. I think it's just going to be one more step forward for the Bengals offense. And yeah, if Chase goes off like we're all hoping he will, yeah, we'll be up by 17 when the final whistle.
Dan, Amy, what's your prediction for tonight?
I think the lazy answer would be it's going to be close. But when you think about it, I don't think they're going to score more than 17. And I think Joe Burrow's primed to have another huge game. They're not great against the pass. We're not running the ball great at the moment. Everything points towards us. Joe Burrow just throwing all over the place and it being like 38-15 or something.
Cool.
I think that might be scorigami if it was 38-15. Amy, have you got a prediction too?
I was going to go for the lazy answer. Say it was going to
Oh, sorry.
So thanks, Dan. That was good.
Paris, what about you?
27-21 to the Bengals, I think. I think we'll win. It'll be close-ish, but I think the defense will do enough over the course of the game to keep Lamar in check. So, yeah, I think we'll win.
Dockers?
I'm going to say we start a little slow. They take the lead at halftime, but then the Ravens fall apart second half. Again, 34-24 Bengals.
Yeah, you all make really good points because, like, you know, their best wide receivers out. You know, our defense is better than Miami's. Our defense is arguably better than Buffalo's. And look what happened in those two games. You know, they started off strongly, but they fizzled out in the second half. They found ways to stop Lamar. And we've done it before, so I think we'll do it again. I think it's something like a 27-21, 27-17 sort of scenario, really. So, Jeremy, I hope you realise that all of us are coming over in the next several weeks. So, Dockers is out there for the Saints and the what is it? Falcons game,
Falcons.
Isn't it? Dan and Amy are out later in the year for the Titans and the Chiefs home game. And me and Paris and 25 other Bengals fans from the UK will be out for the Panthers game. So there'll be an influx of Brits. Obviously, you're going to be at the Bengals bomb squad, so I hope that we can bump into each other. I'm sure we will.
Absolutely, and it looks like we're going to have Skyline every tailgate from here on out. So free conies.
There you go. And just you mentioned it earlier. Now, obviously, your partner is Hubei. She's worked today, I believe. But she started this fantastic female-only podcast, vodcast, whatever you want to call it. And you've started one as well. Do you just want to give props to those two and where people can find it?
Well, Tigers Talk is obviously the star between the two, you know, just like she is my better half, and I would say it's closer to 75%, 25%. They are doing a phenomenal job on Tigers Talk. You can find them on YouTube. Definitely subscribe. They have a autographed Von Bell jersey that they're giving away at 1,000 subscribers, and when they hit that, they can also do live captions. So our friends like Meg, who are deaf or hearing impaired and the captions are easier, that enables them to turn that on. So it's not just for clout, it is actually for those captions. They need those captions. But they've got Kayla Caskey, Coach Kyle Caskey's wife, doing bombshell breakdowns.
I didn't realise that. Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yep, she is breaking down film from a coach's perspective. She is absolutely phenomenal. Cannot thank her enough for devoting her time to spend with those amazing ladies of Bengals fandom. And myself with Houday Baby and Bengals and Bourbon. We've got The Blind Tiger. Barely anybody watches. Barely anybody subscribes. I don't expect that to change anytime soon.
We know that feeling, Jeremy. We know that feeling.
Exactly. I don't promote it a ton. We've got to get better at that, but it's more of a chance for old friends to get together after a game and talk about what we see. And sometimes we get little tidbits that, from the team, from the players, from whatever that we like to share. So, if anybody's absolutely bored, there are 8 million Bengals podcasts out there, but we go live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Tigers Talk is usually Tuesdays or Wednesdays around 8 p.m., depending on the wife's incredibly wild schedule.
And Jeremy, thanks so much. As I say, we normally catch up when you're at Paycor, and you're very good to do this each home game. Just kind of giving fans in the UK a flavour of what it's like inside the stadium. And but we all know you from the London games. I think anybody that's met you knows that you love coming out to London, and you've made friends for life, really, with a bunch of us. So it's great to have like a proper chat with you, and thank you so much for the time today.
Absolutely. I love all of you like family. So thank you so much for having me on.
Great stuff, Jeremy. And we'll say goodbye there. Dan and Amy, Houday, thanks for coming on.
Houday, fingers crossed for tonight.
Houday.
Absolutely. And Paris, thank you for coming on as well, mate.
Yep, Houday. Thank you very much. Thank you,
I'll
Paul.
see you in a couple of weeks. And Dockers, the next time we'll see you, all being well, will be in New Orleans. And you'll probably be in a gutter somewhere recovering from the night before. But hopefully we'll be able to get a flavour of that fantastic city from you next week.
Yeah, who day?
Who day to you, and thanks very much for listening. Nathan and I will be back with the podcast tomorrow, and of course we'll be back with the Tailgate next week. So thanks very much for watching, and a who day from all of us.